This is my role.
My eyes are on the speaker.
Tell me why. Because that looks fantastic. And you poked my eye.
9-2? It's the first day of term for the class that everyone dreads. 9-2. In the past, they've brought teachers at St Edward's to their knees.
Uniform, please, top button. Top button undone.
Former Teacher of the Year, David Torn, is determined to turn them around. John Bailey's here to observe.
OK, 9-2, listen up, please. Thank you. 9-2, listen up. Thank you very much. I'd like to remind you of the 2 golden rules which have just been introduced, OK, for the whole school. Excuse me, young man. You need to do as you're asked first time without arguing, and secondly, to listen while any teacher is talking. So what I'd like you to do, please, without talking at all, is as we go into the room, just to line up against the back wall. Thank you. In silence.
You're lining them up outside, and I notice you're having the odd quiet word about shirts and ties. I think that what you're doing is you're establishing your authority really early.
Your top buttons on up.
And you're setting standards. When they come in the door, they're coming pretty close to you. You're using some kind of physical presence there in that doorway as well.
Your shirt's hanging out. Can you sort it out, please, before we go in? Well, first of all, you're right. It's about establishing authority. Eye contact is really important. Meeting and greeting with students. I think part of that is probably instinct, and part of it is just body language, and not to be threatening, to have presence, really. While I'm positioning you, I would expect none of you to be talking, and I'm physically going to show you where to sit, all right? OK, so can we have Tiffany over here, please? Stand behind your chair and put your bag on the floor. Can I then have Emily here, please?
I've seen lots of teachers explaining a seating plan to students, but I noticed that you're being an usher. You're going around putting them in their seats. I happen to think that's enormously powerful. I think it's a really strong kind of dominance trick. How and why?
I could put a seating plan on the board, an electronic whiteboard, you could do that. But I know from experience that I'll have 10 or 12 minutes of kids saying, where am I, and is that me, and all this, and so that's why I avoid that. After Zoe, can I have Letitia and Sam? OK? Right, the first row, you may sit down, please. Most of it, not all of it, was alphabetical. OK. So the kids think I know their name straight away. I've just met them, but I'll look at who's in the 4th seat. It must be Rebecca. And I'll say Rebecca, she thinks I know her name. Well, I've just met her.
You're teaching yourself their names while you're doing it as well, aren't you? Because you're doing some kind of kinesthetic thing.
And Rebecca. And the second thing is that from day one, I want them to know who's in charge of the classroom, and it's me. I'll say this quite clearly. I, took over 9-2. I volunteered for this class. Excuse me, young man. And I volunteered, actually, after hearing you might have had quite a bad press about you. You don't want to teach 8-2, you don't want to do that. And I thought, no, I do not believe that students are like that. And today, do you know what? I'm going to liberate you. The label you were given in 8-2 as the worst class in Year 8, that's the label you had, I'm going to throw it away. That's actually not true. That is not true. However, what might have been reflected was perhaps 4 or 5 personalities dominating the class. That's over now. So the rest of you who have not been getting practice education you deserve, hallelujah. Because from today, you will be. And I can guarantee you that.
It feels to me like you're sending a message to the rest of the class when you say it's over. It's almost though you're saying, I know what's been going on here, and you're appealing to the broad majority in that class who want to learn and saying we can get on with it. What was your thinking when you were saying all that?
When I said to them, first of all, I want to throw away that label, I almost want to give them a new label, which is going to be, you are a fantastic set of individuals. I do know as well that, one of the most powerful influences on achievement is peer pressure. And what I want to do is say to these kids, look, it's OK to achieve. In this classroom, there will be a culture of success, and you'll be able to actually, not show off, but show that success, and it will be acceptable. So it's not veiled threatening. It was a bit like saying to these kids that have been having a stranglehold in this class, that's finished now. you know, every time I teach a new class, I tell them a little bit about myself because I think it's important for that relationship to happen. I grew up in Hackney in the East End. And, excuse me, thank you. And when I grew up there in the 1980s, Hackney was one of the poorest economic areas, not just in Britain, but the whole of Europe. So I had 3 brothers, and all of them missed out on their education. They bunked off, they got expelled, etc. And I was the youngest one there. My mum died when I was 10, and I thought to myself, I have one chance, and I'm not going to muck it up. And that chance for me was education. There, you know, it didn't come from a family where if I failed the exams, parents would pick me up. That didn't happen. And I grabbed onto that chance, and I went to a school called Hackney Downs School, which for me was a fantastic school. For me, it's like a religion. I am absolutely committed to education. I want to tell you that, so from day one, you know that expectations are massively high, all right?
But let's just go through what you've done there. You've made a personal revelation about yourself, and not everyone would choose to do that. Just tell me why you did that. You know, going to Hackney Downs School and having teachers believe in me, and then being able to progress and get a career in education, I know firsthand that education changes lives. What I'm trying to do is, it sounds a bit cheesy, but I'm buying into their hearts on day one, deliberately. If they believe in my philosophy, I've got them, and I've got them forever. And the chances of them doing well at history or doing well at school are going to be far greater if there are teachers that are willing to actually say, look, you know, here's a bit of me. This is why I'm doing it. Yeah, and that phrase you use, it's a religion with me, that's very powerful. I would feel inspired, and I would take you very seriously if I was being taught by you. I'd like you to turn to the inside cover of your book. OK, I'd like to take a look at the rules, if you like, in the book. I think they're quite reasonable. It says, enter all history classrooms in a quiet and orderly manner. Now, I don't think you managed that outside. Congratulations, you did manage it when you come in. It wasn't perfect, but you know, you managed it in the end. I actually want to see it perfect. Please raise your hand if you want to say something. And please remain in your seats for the entire lesson. Quite often lessons won't be seat-based. We might have lessons where we're in the drama room or something. But for an academic lesson, I would appreciate it if you remained in your seat. OK? So far, any unreasonable things? No. OK, thank you. This isn't one of these classes where we sit down and say, let's all write down on paper what rules we think we need to have. Number one, do you always do that with classes? And number two, have you especially stronged up because of the reputation of this class? I'll answer both questions. The first one, I don't always do it with the class. I had a year 10 class prior to this, and it was their first lesson, and you know, very strong year 10, and we had a quick discussion of the rules. I didn't put them in their book, and they're very mature, and we literally got on with the work. This class comes with a reputation, which may or may not be true, and I don't want to spend time having negotiations about whether I'm right or wrong, and I have to get it, as a teacher, I have to get it right for them. Now for the fun part, fantastic. Who wants to be a detainee?
What's a detainee?
A detainee is someone who gets a detention. Oh. OK. You come to the lesson and you don't bring your book, I'll make a little mark in my book, and it will say B or NB for no book, and it will mean that you've forgotten your book. If the next time you come again and you forget it again, you'll get an immediate half-hour detention. Is that reasonable, Luke?
Because you already got a warning the first time.
OK. So that's fair, yeah? The other thing is I actually want you guys to achieve, and I know that if you come to lessons about your book, it's not the same. It's not the same. Students come along and they don't have the work. And for all the excuses I've heard in the world, it doesn't matter. Sorry.
Is it like every other 2, or is it 2 for the whole year?
You're a great man. If you forget your book once, I'll make a note. If you forget your book twice, detention, and then detention every time after that. I do not press the reset button. Because I think if you press the reset button, what you then do, basically, you tolerate low standards. One of the things that you're doing is you're explaining a fairly low tolerance thing, like when that marvellous phrase you use about if I hit the reset button, I lower my expectations. And you haven't, on this occasion, explained very much about your rewards, except you wag on your eyebrows. If homework's not been done, and it's just been laziness or haven't been told, that will be a detention.
What if you've got like a computer homework and your computer ain't working, so you can't print it off?
If there's a reasonable reason, fantastic. But you can probably only play that game once.
What's going on there?
If you're going to maintain relationships with students, you need to show them that you like them all the time. So even when you're dishing out punishments or sanctions, it can still be done in a humorous fashion. And I think humour is one of the most fantastic ways that you can win anybody over.
OK, so I know you want me educated, and I know you're pretty tough. I might be beginning to think this is OK, but where's the fun?
Guys?
After 25 minutes of tough love, it's time for some fun.
Have a look at the picture on the board, and if you can see the hidden item, I would like you to put your hand up but not shout out. In that picture, there's a hidden item. OK, have a little discussion. If you think you know it, say to your partner what you think it might be. OK, let's see a bit of discussion there. They definitely know it. Right, sorry, what's your name again?
Stephanie.
Stephanie, right. Would you be prepared to come to the front, please, and point out this hidden item?
Okay.
Come on, give you a bit of fame. Thank you. Ooh. No. Well, fantastic. Right, for getting up and actually having the guts to get up. Right, do you think you know? OK, very quickly, come up and show me. We need to illustrate this, because this is going to change your attitudes of learning too. No, but thank you very much. One more, please, Emily. Thank you. Shh, shh, shh. No. It's a massive item, gigantic.
The house?
Not a house. Look at it carefully. It's a car. There's the wheel. Shh. You can see the chassis.
Oh, yeah.
OK, right. Listen, thank you very much. Listen, thank you. Shh. Thank you.
I saw that.
These tasks are about really getting them to see beyond. Can they see another angle? I could have got the passage to write on the board. I could have something really dull. But I thought, let's excite them a bit now. Let's get them interested in learning. Something's... I want to get them hooked straight away. And what these activities showed, which I was really heartened by, is that when they actually realised the hidden pictures, there was a sense of wonder.
And you were giving them some performance opportunities. There are children coming up out of their seats. I'm already beginning to smell that I don't just have to sit in my butt and listen to you for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
OK, so that's very good. This is a kind of low-risk exercise.
Yeah. And everyone can join in.
Yeah, everyone can join in. Trying is the most important thing, and there's a low jeopardy if you're wrong.
Yeah. You need to make sure before you leave, please, that your uniform is perfect. And
when I was thinking about how the lesson went, I was trying to think what I would think if I was a child in your class and I left the room. And I wrote down, he's tough, but learning is fun, and he believes in me.
Oh.
Is that what you want me to think?
That's lovely, and I do believe in them. I might not always appreciate their behaviour, but I believe in them, and sometimes it takes a couple of years for the kids to see that. But they'll come good in the end.